Throughout history, human beings have gone through great, incredible, and sometimes bizarre lengths, all just to get high. From temple vapors in Greece to psychedelic mushrooms in Siberia, and even honey so poisonous it could kill an army. People have experimented with mind-altering substances for ritual, healing, warfare, and sometimes just plain curiosity. And myself, I'd be dabbling in a little bit of the weed. So, who better to take you throughout some of the craziest ways people have gotten high throughout history? There's probably plenty of people, but, you know, there's got to be a hook somewhere. The Oracle of Delphi was one of the most mysterious figures in the ancient world. Pilgrims, generals, and kings traveled across Greece just to meet the Pythia, or Pythia. I don't know how it's pronounced. And I'm not going to look it up. The high priestess of Apollo, who would enter a trance and deliver cryptic prophecies. For centuries, scholars debated what exactly was happening inside the dark chambers beneath the Temple of Apollo. In the 1920s, French archaeologists excavating Delphi came to the firm conclusion that there were no strange vapors, no chasm beneath the temple, no gases rising from the earth. They dismissed the ancient accounts as myth, assuming that only volcanic regions could produce such fumes. And Delphi wasn't volcanic, so obviously that equals case closed. Or so they thought, because by the end of the 20th century, science was about to rewrite the story. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, an interdisciplinary team led by geologists, I don't know how to say interdisciplinary. I'm a little bit dumb. Maybe it's the weed. Anyways, this was led by geologist Gel de Boer. I don't know how to say this either. I'll just put her name up, his or her. Also, a picture is going to be up. To be honest with you, I was high whenever I wrote the script and whenever I did all this research. So, yeah. Anyways, they revealed something astonishing. The Temple of Apollo, it wasn't just built on a rock. It was built directly over an intersection between two major fault lines. One of these, the Kerna Fault, ran right under the temple's inner sanctum. You have no idea how many times I failed to say that. The Aditon, or Aditon, or Aditon. Again, just put the fucking word up on screen. Where the Pythia would sit on a tripod. These faults created fissures in the bedrock. Cracks that served sort of as pathways for these gases to seep up out of deep underground. And this matched the ancient descriptions almost perfectly. The geology of Delphi held the key. Or Delphi. Again, I don't know how to say this shit, man. I'm an ignorant white American. Okay? And again, I wrote this whenever I was high. Should I just... Let me grab my phone. How do you pronounce Delphi or Delphi?
Okay, I found this on the web for how do you pronounce Delphi or Delphi. Check it out.
Okay, so it's pronounced Delphi because he just said the same thing twice. That's all I needed to know. So, Delphi. The geology of Delphi held the key. The bedrock beneath the temple was made of bituminous. Bituminous oil-rich limestone. I got there. When the earth shifted along those fault lines, friction generated heat. Vaporizing, the hydrocarbon locked inside the stone. Groundwater then carried those gases upward, and they emerged inside the Aditon. The Pythia didn't just manage the fumes. She was literally breathing them. Chemical analysis of nearby springs revealed hydrocarbons including methane, ethane, and most importantly, ethylene. Toxicologist Henry Spiller explained that ethylene inhalation creates sensation of disembodied euphoria, altered consciousness, and a pleasant, floating-like feeling. From the 1930s to the 1970s, doctors even used ethylene as an anesthetic. It wore off quickly, just as ancient writers described of the Oracle. The Pythia would enter the Aditon, inhale the vapors, and basically just get high. Words would tumble from her mouth, which would then be interpreted by priests into riddling prophecies. Once she left, the effect just rapidly faded. Now, this wasn't magic, it was chemistry. Can I get a yeah science in the... Can I get a yeah, yeah, no. Interestingly, ancient writers noted that the oracle's power faded over time. Some centuries were stronger and others were weaker. Logical science provides the answer. The activity of the fault lines and the amount of gas produced by them would fluctuate over time. It wouldn't stay the same, forever. But not all scholars agree on the ethylene theory. Some argue that the concentrations found at Delphi were too low and they couldn't create such powerful trances. Others suggest alternative explanations, such as oxygen deprivation from carbon dioxide buildup, the presence of methane, or even benzene in the groundwater. Still, many believe that the most important factor wasn't just chemistry, but psychology. The Oracle was the centerpiece of Greek religion. The ritual itself, the belief of the pilgrims, and the solemn atmosphere of the temple would have powerfully shaped the Pythia's experience. Okay, now that we've read all of that section, and all the information is out of the way, I'm just going to give some of my opinions. Can you imagine your job just being to get fucked up and just to tell people the random shit you think of whenever you're fucked up? That would be sick. That'd be so much fucking fun. Okay? Like, this is, like, the shit she was saying is obviously fake, right? Like, Like, she obviously wasn't giving real prophecies. At least I don't think. I mean, maybe she was. I mean, she liked that. She liked that, you know what I'm saying? Go north to the Eurasian steppes, or steppes. I think it's steppes. And you'll find another fascinating ritual. This one involving cannabis smoke, tents, and what is essentially a prehistoric hotbox. Now, to be clear, this isn't crazy in what they're doing, but the fact that they were a hotboxing back then, oh my god. Now, the way they did it is also pretty cool, but we'll get into it. In 5th century BCE, the Greek historian Herodotus described the funeral rites of the Scythians, the nomadic horsemen of the steppe. Or steppe. Again, I don't know. I think it's steep, though. Again, I'm gonna just look it up. Fuck it. Oh, steppe. Okay, so it's steppe. So it's not steep. I'm dumb. Good thing I looked it up. After a burial, they would set up a tent-like booth made of 3 poles covered with felt mats. Inside, they placed a basin filled with red-hot stones. On these stones, they threw cannabis. The tent filled with intoxicating thick smoke, and the Scythians, they inhaled deeply, and apparently they started howling with joy. Now, I don't know what this could mean, because this could mean many things. Were they fucking inside of these tents while they were hotboxing the tents? Because that's what my mind went to immediately whenever I heard that. Was that what they were doing? For centuries, many doubted Herodotus' I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name, but his colorful little story. But in the 20th century, archaeologists excavating frozen Scythian tombs discovered the proof. At Pazurek, I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm pretty sure that's Russian. In the Altai Mountains, they found wooden frames for tents, bronze cauldrons containing hemp seeds, and leather pouches filled with cannabis. Even more spectacular was a 2013 discovery in southern Russia. 2 solid gold vessels were found in a burial mound, coated with a sticky black residue. Chemical analysis showed traces of both cannabis and opium. These were luxury ritual vessels, likely used by Scythian elites. Now, this hotboxing obviously wasn't just simply recreational. It was a purification of sorts after death, cleansing mourners and their belongings of the taint of the grave. It may have also been a way to like enter an alternate state of mind, to maybe talk to spirits, or maybe just to celebrate, you know, just to celebrate their afterlife. With all the information done with this one, again, like I said earlier, it's crazy to me that like I couldn't find an answer on why they were howling, because man, I want to know why they were howling. Because to me, it genuinely just sounds like they're in their fucking... Okay, on to the next one. Bright red dotted with white spots. The Amanita Muscaria mushroom looks like something straight out of a fairy tale. But in Siberia, it was no decoration. It was the doorway to another world. The Koryak tribes and the Chukchi tribes, I don't know if I said that right, revered the Amanita Muscaria as a sacred tool. Shamans consumed it to enter trance-like states, heal, and divine the future. Folklore said it was a gift, straight from the creator spirit, Big Raven. That's a cool name for a creator spirit, I gotta say. Who gained his strength from it. But the mushroom was dangerous. Its raw form contained toxic ibotenic acid. Their body filtered the toxins and excreted the psychoactive mucimol in their urine. Others would then drink the urine, which, for one, why? That's nasty. That's nasty, no good nasty. Which helped them gain the mushroom's effect with fewer side effects. But you also are just drinking piss. So, you know, maybe you just don't get high off the mushrooms. The practice even extended to reindeer. The tribes noticed that reindeer actively sought out the mushrooms, acting intoxicated afterwards. Some suggest that drinking the reindeer's piss was another way to recycle the mushrooms' like effects. Which again is just nasty. That is arguably maybe nastier than doing it to, like, you know, to your homeboy. In general, drinking, just don't drink piss. Just don't drink piss. Also, just a cool little side note off of this. Some scholars link this mushroom to, like, the stereotypical look of Santa Claus. The red and white suit mirrors the mushroom's colors. Shamans blocked by snow entered homes through the smoke hole, just like Santa coming down the chimney. Gifts of mushrooms were placed under evergreen trees. And of course, reindeer seemed to fly after eating them. Is that a coincidence, or is it the psychedelic root of Christmas? Despite its mystique, Amanita Muscaria is highly unpredictable. Dosage varies and side effects can be severe. I'm talking seizures, comas, even death. Yeah, you can just straight up die. For the Siberian shamans, this like risk was part of its power, and for basically everybody else, it's just kind of just not worth taking the risk. At least to me. I'm just not drinking my friend's piss. Why was that a thing? Across the deserts of Egypt, another plant-shaped culture and ritual. The blue water lily. Nymphaea caerulea. Put it up on the fucking screen. The Egyptians knew its calming, euphoric effects, derived from alkaloids like apomorphine and nuciferin. They infused it in wine, brewed it into tea, and even pressed it into oils and perfumes. It was a relaxant, a sleep aid, and according to the evidence, an aphrodisiac. Tomb paintings and erotic papyri depict elites drinking blue lily wine at feasts, and even sexual ceremonies, which, why is that a thing that happens? Why is sexual ceremonies a thing? Its intoxicating effects enhance pleasure and lowered inhibitions. Today, the blue water lily is endangered. Its Nile habitat disrupted by the Aswan Dam. Yet, its compounds are still studied for possible medical use. Extracts are sold online, but it's potentially dangerous and it's unregulated, so I wouldn't recommend it. For the Egyptians, though, it wasn't just a drug. It was a sacred flower of life, sex, and rebirth. If you think drinking psychoactive brews is extreme, the ancient Maya went even further. They took their intoxicants rectally.
Huh?
Yep, that's right, straight up the ass. Your butt, it absorbs substances rapidly, and it bypasses the stomach. This meant faster and stronger effects. It's just so crazy. And also, no vomiting, which was insanely common with potent plant brews. Vessels from Maya art show elites and shamans using enema syringes, sometimes assisted by attendants. I would not want to be that attendant. The Maya administered alcohol, especially balshe, a honey fermented bark drink, and they also combined it with psychoactive plants. Things like potent tobacco, the blue water lily that I mentioned earlier, morning glory seeds, psilocybin mushrooms, you know, the mushrooms that most people take nowadays. These enemas were not private acts. They were social, elite, and sacred. They brought trance states for communicating with gods, ancestors, and even spirits, often in caves, the gateways to the underworld. The god Akan, the Mayan Bacchus, presided over these intoxicating rites. From the Maya, we move to the shamans of the Sonoran desert, who discovered powers in the glands of a toad. I'm talking about the Sonoran desert toad. This big-ass toad secretes a milky venom, that is rich in compounds including 5-MeO-DMT, one of the most powerful psychedelics known. Shamans collected the venom by pressing the toad's glands and then drying it and then smoking it. The effects are immediate and overwhelming. I'm talking ego death, out-of-body experiences, a sense of merging with the universe. Some even call it the God molecule. The trip lasts less than an hour, but it can feel like an eternity. The venom also contains bufotoxins, which are insanely dangerous to the heart. Licking the toad is deadly, and harvesting the animals has put them at risk of going endangered. Today, many use synthetic DMT instead. Modern studies show it may help treat depression and anxiety, but others warn of dangers of commercialization and cultural appropriation, because for traditional shamans, this was never recreational. It was just a sacred act to contact the divine. Now, not all intoxicants come from plants or are man-made. Some come from bees. And with this, you probably already know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about mad honey. In the mountains of Turkey and Nepal, rhododendron nectar. Rhododendron nectar. Okay. Bees feed on rhododendron nectar. The flowers contain gray anotoxin, which makes the honey both dangerous and psychedelic. Small doses can cause dizziness, euphoria, and mild hallucinations. Larger doses cause vomiting, slowed heart rate, and even death. Mad honey also has a dark military history. In 67 BCE, King Mithridates used it as a weapon against the Romans. He left pots of honey out for Pompey's soldiers, who ate it, then collapsed, then were slaughtered. Even Xenophon recorded Greek soldiers being sickened by toxic honey in 401 BC. Locals also used it as a medicine and an aphrodisiac. In 18th century Europe, it was even mixed into alcohol to give it an extra kick. And today, mad honey is still sold, especially in Turkey, sometimes marketed for its natural benefits, but the line between medicine and poison is razor thin. Fast forwarding to modern times, among the most horrifying drugs ever, Krokodil. Krokodil is a homemade dysmorphine, cooked from codeine with gasoline, acid, phosphorus, and other toxins. It is injected, producing a short, intense opioid high. Because this drug is so impure though, it destroys tissue almost instantly. Your skin turns green, scaly, and necrotic. Users develop abscesses, gangrene, and bone damage, and the average life expectancy after starting Krokodil is only 2 to 3 years. Now, I just want to say this now. What was the pitch and who was buying this? Hey man, do you want to do this thing and turn into the Killer Croc from Batman? No, I don't. I don't want to be Lizard from fucking Spider-Man, thank you. Obviously, I know it's probably just people who are addicted and they were probably told it was some other shit, but like, just in general, like the sales pitch behind this just makes no sense. It emerged in Russia around 2002, spreading as a cheap heroin substitute. Like I said, they probably just could not get what they actually wanted, but still. After codeine sales were restricted in 2012, cases had started declining. Reports outside of Eastern Europe still exist, but they are rare. And still, Krokodil remains a haunting example of just human desperation. because addiction can turn people to do the craziest shit. Why would you want to turn into Killer Croc and the Lizard? Okay, so this next one is more so of a myth, but it's just so insane and also disgusting that I just have to talk about it. So, in the 1990s, reports from Zambia described street children inhaling fermented sewage gases, calling it Jenkem. That's right, they're fucking inhaling shit. Shit fumes. Shit fumes! In 2007, a Florida sheriff memo claimed American teens were using Jenkem. Media outlets spread the panic, but it turned out to just be an internet hoax, with photos faked by a teenager using Nutella and beer, which is pretty funny that a teen just absolutely pranked the entire country. There's no real evidence that Jenkem was ever widespread, and scientifically, inhaling sewage fumes is just not smart. It can cause brain damage and other illnesses, so yeah, just don't do it. But this is more of an urban legend than a drug epidemic. I just felt the need to... This just felt like something that should be included because it's so absurd. And also, I'm pretty sure it has happened. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm sure people are dumb enough. Okay? I'm sure people are stupid enough. On to the next one. Finally, one of the strongest modern fads going on right now. Like, people my age are doing this and it pisses me off. Why the fuck are we doing this? Stop it. People are pouring vodka directly into their eyeballs. Now, I'm not saying we started this trend like my generation, but, and I hope to God we didn't. Just to be clear, I hope it was some fucking dumb uncle showed his dumbass nephew this shit. But if we invented this shit, we might be cooked. Because some people believe that pouring alcohol directly into your eyeball would make you be be drunk faster. Now, obviously, that isn't how that works. I, for one, can't even absorb enough alcohol for it to even matter. But it can absorb enough ethanol to burn, ulcerate, and scar the cornea. End result, you just get a painful infection with basically permanent damage and probably blindness. Doctors universally condemn it. Any high is either just a placebo or you just being already wasted. And again, this isn't a drug, this is just alcohol, but it's dangerous and you just shouldn't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Fuck me. I shouldn't have to explain not to do this. This is not a thing that I should have to... No, this shouldn't even be a thing. And so yeah, that's some of the craziest highs that I could personally find on the internet. If you can think of any more, or you know any more that I missed, tell me down in the comments. If you have a favorite out of the ones that I mentioned, let me know down in the comments. And yeah, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Hopefully new videos weekly. Make sure to subscribe for those. Yeah, peace.